Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin in Tucson, Arizona. Welcome to Tucson, where we've got a brick and mortar store. We run a show called the Tucson Invitational Coin Show, Coin and Currency Expo, pardon me, but the actual website's TucsonCoinshow.com, and we have some really beautifully ugly paper money to show you today. And some of you may be wondering, like, why are we going to do this? But I've got some fun stuff to show you and to teach about just kind of what's out there in the national banknote scene. So for those of you who don't know, you can get banknotes from your local area, and it'll have the name of a bank, and it'll have the name of the state and the city, and then a charter number on there. And we're going to go through a bunch of that stuff right now. I happen to run into somebody who specializes, collects very specifically Arizona national banknotes. He came in and we ended up doing some horse trading, right? It's just like the good old days when some of you used your baseball cards and traded them back and forth. So I went ahead and traded, I don't know, my Babe Ruth for all of his beat up Mickey Mantles. I don't know how this works exactly. Not a good analogy probably, but basically I had a really nice banknote and he traded me some starter notes. And most Arizona notes are pretty scarce, so even some of these beat up large size notes will be, north of $500 just because they're that hard to get. Some of you know about Winslow, Arizona, because you were standing on a corner and it was such a fine sight to see. So that is one of those things that a lot of people know from a song, and a lot of things people know from pop culture. And Winslow is one of those places that a lot of people go to. It's on historic Route 66. So what's fun is checking stuff out from the National Banknote Book, and Alaska only has a couple banks here. But this has the list of all the different banks that are out there. And what's interesting about Arizona compared to some of the other places that you'll go to is there's really not that many counties in Arizona. So if you check this out, you'd be like, what in the what? So Arizona being the 6th largest state, you can see only has a handful of counties here, and most of them are larger counties. And then on the maps on here, you can actually read them, unlike some of the other states where you can't read the name of the towns because they're all crammed together. So many of these counties don't have any cities or banks represented, but there are only 27 chartering banks, and very interesting. And one of the things that you're going to notice here is that you'll have banks with the similar from the same city, so like Phoenix, and Phoenix. But then you'll have different charters, 3728 and 11559. Those are different banks entirely. Now, here's where we get to have a little bit of fun. I'll show you how to use the book on this. Is when you look at, I've got a 10 and a 20, both on this bank 3728. And some of you are very good at reading, and others are just kind of slow to catch on. You're with me on that. First National Bank of Arizona at Phoenix, and the National Bank of Arizona at Phoenix. So those are two different names. So what happens is sometimes we'll have a bank change its name. And so one of the things that you will see in these books when we get to Phoenix, there's 1, 2, 3. Here we go. We've got our 4 different Phoenix banks. Actually, one of them is listed as unreported. So here we go. You'll say chartered in, and it says National Bank of Arizona at Phoenix. And then right here it says second title, First National Bank of Arizona at Phoenix. So you'll see that the National Bank of Arizona, the National Bank of Arizona at Phoenix is the first charter. And then after that, it is, I said that wrong, it's the National Bank's the first one, which makes sense because actually the markers here with the directionals, that those are on the older notes. So the way you'll see this in the actual book is when you look at it, they'll tell you, which, this is the original charter name, and then once you get up here, here's the second title name, right? And so you'll see what's also fun about the book is they have the total amount of money that was issued, how much was still remaining in 35, and how much large was out in 35. So there was a lot of it that was out there, but there's nowhere near that many known, because you'll see they're showing this means that there's 4 large size known and 81 small size known. And the numbers are probably bigger than that now. This book's a little bit old, but still, that's a fraction of how much currency it says was created. And so if you look at that national banknote in Phoenix that is unreported, they only issued $11,000, and it was a territorial only issue. It was liquidated in 1884, started in 1883, and there was only $85 face value unaccounted for in 1910. So put that on my list of things to look out for. Don't tell anybody I'm looking for it, okay? So most of your large size, your more common banknotes from Arizona are going to be those large size Phoenix, maybe in that $1,500 ballpark banknotes like these. So, and then your national banknote designs are all pretty much the same. So if you see notes like this, you're like, hey, I've seen these notes, this 5, 10, and 20, but they had my state, and so the U.S. Mint was producing all of these and just changing up the names, right? So your 5 and your 10 and your 20s all look the same from one state to the other. It's only this design here with the actual name that changes, and then the signatures will change. But the major design is all still going to be the same on those. And if you want to get a little more nerdy with me for just a second, and then we'll let you guys get back to your regular scheduled programming, people who keep track of these, who collect, what's nice is you've got serial numbers. So you can go ahead and go through. Some guys keep their own stat sheets, like old school. Like basically, this should basically have should have the holes on the side still the way this is made. It's actually flips from top to, from top to bottom there, right? So, but you would find he would have the series listed out by title. So Holbrook. Okay, as I should have had this, obviously should have had this page marked instead. I've got like a whole bunch of pages to flip through. We're just gonna have the engineer edit this part out. Chung chung. 12198. So Holbrook, 1902 blue seal plain backs. That's what this note is. And that's the denomination is the 5, and then here are your serial numbers. All right, and I think this is like issue dates based on data that's known. Oh, this is who owned it, when, and where. That's a whole thing that somebody did. The thing with the serial numbers, if you can kind of track where you last saw a banknote. So I'm just curious if I can find the 3016 on the back side of this here, and you'll see here's the 3016, January 26, 1928, good, from a hoard, and you can see they've got all of their own notes on here. So very interesting looking banknote. Very interesting to look and see how someone can keep track of not only the banknote, when it was from, but even, who owned it, who owns it. I mean, there's guys, that's the level of detail that some of these guys get to. All right, last but not least, we got one more Phoenix here to show you, and one more Holbrook, a couple of Holbrooks. These were like, the book said they were a hoard note. A hoard note, and mind you, I think there was like 4 or 5 of them, right? And then a small size Phoenix National. So of course they did make the regular size currency. We call it the small size in the collecting world. Some of y'all call it regular currency. But this is that 3728, the First National Bank of, and this is a type 2. There's a type 1 and a type 2. The easy way to remember that is the type 1 has the charter number once. The type 2 has the charter number twice. So that is the difference. And so guys who collect these and they want all of the different types available, sometimes those are the little nuances, like just having the letter on the number on there twice makes a difference for a collector, because he may say, I have a 10 from this bank, but I don't have a 10 type 2, I have a 10 type 1. So little things that people look at and consider. So there you go, guys. We've got a small hoard of Arizona Nationals that came in the store, and always enjoy showing you some paper money. So thanks for being here today. I'm Ben the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.